What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video. And guys, it is finally that time once again to show you guys some of my monthly pickups. Now, I'm not gonna lie, July was a pretty interesting month. I finally got one game that I ordered a very long time ago now at this point, and it finally arrived. And I've definitely got a pretty interesting story behind it when I go later on into some of my pickups. Definitely added some games that I'm very excited to have right into the collection now, while there's certainly some others that are definitely some filler titles. You guys may or may not be able to see, but I've got a bunch of my pickups right on top of that shelf, right over there, that are just ready to be shown off right here in this video. And I'm not gonna lie, I also got a bunch of Sega Genesis games that came from a pretty decent sized lot, which definitely excited to show them off, even if some of them are not really the greatest games in the world, in my personal opinion. But without further ado, let's dive right into this video subject and take a look at some of my pickups for the month of July, right after the intro. Alright, so before I dive right into these pickups, I'm just going to throw a disclaimer out there. I'm sure all of my returning viewers are familiar with it already, but essentially, I'm literally going to be doing this all in one take. So if I repeat myself, trip over words, all that type of wonderful stuff, yeah, just be prepared for that. Okay, now, let's start with the PS5 games. So this was one that I was even wondering if I was even going to be getting at this point, and that is Sonic X Shadow Generations. Now, this is a game that I actually did buy digitally because it did come with a pre-order bonus that you could only get if you bought the game digitally. And thank God I actually did, because it would have been a very long time before I actually got this. I basically purchased this through Limited Run Games, and it was supposed to come with a collector's edition, and they're having all kinds of problems with like getting the collector's edition sent out. I don't know what's going on over at the Limited Run Games camp, but it's just been a giant fiasco, and I'm gonna just be honest, this is probably gonna be the last time I ever buy anything from Limited Run Games, if not for quite a while. But finally glad to add this. And speaking of collector's editions, when it comes to games, I picked up Madao Monogatari, Fia, and the Wondrous Academy. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Puyo Puyo series. I'm also a huge fan of the Hyperdimension Neptunia series, considering this is a game made by the same people that do take care of the Neptunia series. And this is actually part of the Madao Monogatari series, which basically kicked off Puyo Puyo. If there was no Madao Monogatari, there would be no Puyo Puyo. So this was definitely a no-brainer to add to my collection, and I'm very stoked to try this out. I just haven't played it yet just because I've had a lot going on over on my end, which is unfortunate, but I mean, hey, life happens, right? Speaking about other games, I picked up Sonic 3D Blast. This is clearly, and in my opinion, my least favorite Sonic game on the Genesis. I don't think it's horrible, but if I'm playing a Sonic game on the Genesis, I'd rather stick with Sonic 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, one of those. Not really too crazy about this, but I'm definitely glad to add it anyway, is because, you know, I want to have every Sonic game on the Genesis, so had to get this. Moving on down the line is F-22 Interceptor. Now, I do have the regular clamshell variant, but with this lot that I purchased, it actually came with a new sealed copy. Did not come with this protective case that I got. I actually bought this separately just because I have other cardboard Genesis games that I do want to protect. So I did throw it in this for that extra layer of protection. But it is cool that I now have two variants of F-22. More Genesis games, Madden, NFL 98. With the sports games, there's not really going to be a lot to talk about with them. I'm not really a fan of sports games. It's very rare that I actually want to play a sports game. They're just not really my thing. So when I show off more sports games in this, I'm not really going to talk about them much just because there's not really much to say. So moving on. The next sports game is MLB Sports Talk Baseball. Another Genesis game that came from the lot. There might be a few more sports games that you'll have to see as we go through it, but I promise there'll be some more entertaining titles up ahead, I promise. Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Boxing. So this must have been Sega's attempt to try to capitalize off of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Shortly after the NES with the Genesis launch and all that, but and of course this probably is their second attempt. James Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, these are some pretty interesting graphics and they look really good. Like, I don't know, I might be crazy enough to pop one of these in one day and try them out. But I'm not gonna lie, these are some pretty good quality graphics for what they are from back in the day. I mean, shoot, I might try them out just to take a look at them. Okay, finally a Genesis title that's not sports themed. Tazmania. I actually remember playing this a very long time ago as a kid. Never got really far in it. And I did actually play this just the other day just because I got it and I wanted to go down memory lane. I'm not gonna lie, it's a creative title. It's probably not a game I would ever go back to play right away, but I think it's cool for what it is. But I'm still glad to add it to the collection. And then yet another sports game for the Genesis. Rugby World Cup 95. So, yeah. I think, yep, this is the last sports game on the Genesis that I got. Hardball 94. Yeah, I don't know. I will say one thing about the Genesis sports games. I do remember one time looking at a complete set for the Genesis once, and I was actually baffled by all the sports games that were on the Genesis. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Streets of Rage, Sonic the Hedgehog, Toe Jam and Earl, Altered Beast, all those games, but that, I don't know, I kind of wasn't really too impressed once I saw, like, there were so many sports games on the Genesis, but, Alright, here we go to Dreamcast. Before I go into my last Genesis game in a little bit, is Alien Front Online. This actually does come with the game, the little headset thing, or no, it's the microphone. Okay, and this actually looks like it could have been a really fun game online back in the day. Quite unfortunate that I'm pretty sure that the servers are shut down a very long time ago. But since I am going for that complete Sega Dreamcast set, I definitely wanted to pick up this title. And when I wanted to get this title, I wanted to make sure that I got all the original packaging. It wasn't just the game. I wanted to make sure that I got the box, microphone, and whatever else the game came with. So definitely paid up more than someone else would have been if they were just getting the regular game. Of course, here's Dynamite Cop. This is one that also looks very interesting. This was also a not cheap Dreamcast game. Looking at the screenshots on the back, it looks like it's a very arcadey game. I was going to be guessing it was by AM2, but I guess not. But totally willing to give this a shot one day. Here's Worms Armageddon. I'm not a Worms fan by any means. Not that I hate Worms, it's just not really my thing. I played a Worms game several years ago on the Xbox 360. I forgot what it was called. I think it might have been Worms WMD. I don't remember. It's just been so long. But I don't know. Are you guys a fan of Worms? Let me know in the comments. Do you think I should give Worms a go again? I don't know. This wasn't my thing, but it's not one of those games where or one of those series where I'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm never going back to this. All right. Bomberman Online, yet another online-themed Sega Dreamcast game. Requires a SegaNet account. Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting one of those anytime soon. Case is cracked, which that's okay. Getting a replacement case isn't hard. Again, I wanted to add all these Dreamcast games I bought because, you know, going for that full set. I wonder if there's at least single player on this, because it does look fun, but maybe you guys can tell me if there's single player on it if you've played Bomberman Online before. Alone in the Dark, the new Nightmare. There's actually a little bit of nostalgia with this, even though I've actually never played this game. I remember a very long time ago, I wanted to get a Sega Dreamcast when I was really younger. And I remember looking at the Dreamcast games, and I remember seeing this title. And my dad was like, nope, you're not getting it. It's mature rated. Probably for the best. I mean, with these horror games, probably my very younger self would have had to go to therapy for a very long time. But, you know, I might give this a shot. Let me know if I should. All right. As we go right back to the Genesis, here is 688 Attack Sub. Now, looking at the box art, it looks very, very cool. However, when I look at the screenshots, that's kind of where I begin to lose interest. Kind of looks like a very, very, very primitive version of, like, I don't know if this would be the right comparison, but Microsoft Flight Simulator, except in you trying to fly a plane, you're doing an attack sub. I mean, I gotta say, they killed it with the box art. I mean, it looks really, really cool. Box art alone, I would totally give this game a shot. But in terms of the pictures on the back and remembering some of the games that I've played before in the past, this is probably going to be one that I'll pass over. But yeah, those right there happen to be some of my July pickups. Let me know if you guys have any games that you think were probably some of the coolest ones that I picked up. I'm probably going to make a wild guess and say that Sonic X Shadow Generations was probably the best pickup that I got. Glad I got it. Pretty bummed that it took so long to get, but hey, you know, I'm glad I got it. But anyway, those were a few of my pickups for the month of July. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out my video. Please be sure to check out these videos here, and here. After all, I post a lot of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So be sure to keep an eye out every Monday and Friday where I upload consistently, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.